Great day, attractive thinker. Dr. Tony Hatton here, your identity coach and get to the root specialist at theattractivethinker.guru, where we provide mental tools for new and aspiring entrepreneurs for mental healing, mental strength, and mindset maintenance. I am delighted today. We have a guest on our Attractive Thinker TV channel, Kassarian Spence. He's a college student, and so many wonderful things that I'm excited to share with you about this young man. He's an example. He's definitely a person of wisdom, and I'm just excited to really get into this. He was unanimously picked by his school English department. Check this out. On the Academic Integrity Committee. I've never even heard of anything like that. So, Kassarian, you're going to have to enlighten us about that, but I like the way that sounds. The Academic Integrity Committee, and he's working on a poetry collection. That is so incredible. Attractive thinkers, you definitely want to have your Attractive Thinker notebook and pen handy to capture these gems because they're going to be dropping like hotcakes today, okay? Today's topic is your power is in being alone. I want you to write that down. Your power is in being alone because people struggle with being alone. I mean, we just, last year come through a pandemic, whereas we all had to go back into our corners, into our homes and sit for a minute. And in that sitting, we had to sit with ourselves. And some people struggle to do that. They don't know what to do when you have to sit with yourself because now you have to confront yourself. So today's topic, what we'll be sharing is your power is in being alone. We're going to help you discover some truths, some gems, some benefits of being alone. Because when you hear the phrase or you hear someone say, oh, I feel alone, or I'm just alone, it has this negative connotation that goes along with it because very few people pull the gems from it or the benefits or the advantages, or you rarely hear conversations about people praising being alone or talking about how much better they are as a result of being alone for a season of their lives, or what they discovered about themselves, about life, about God, about people, about the world, about their gifts, things about their path, their purpose in being alone. So Kassarian, welcome to the Attractive Thinker Mental Health TV.
Thank you for having me, doctor.
You're absolutely welcome. Talk to us. Tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're going, what's going on right now, and make sure you mention a little bit about that poetry collection. That sounds exciting.
Well, I am a 21-year-old man. I'm currently living in Pittsburgh and I'm attending Chatham University. I am in my third year technically because I took the last semester off because online school isn't really my forte. I like to, connect with my professors and talk to them and see them. And yeah, so technically I'm in my third year, but this is like my fourth year attending the university, I guess. You wanted to know a little bit more about the Academic Integrity Committee. Essentially what it is I am a juror. The best way to describe it is I am a juror in cases that involve academic, like a violation of our academic integrity pact, which is essentially if somebody gets caught cheating, it goes through a system, somebody vets it, and then it's a panel of probably about 2 peers or 2 teachers. Normally 3 people on the panel. And then also they are integrating our behavioral committee along with that academic integrity. So people who are also on the academic integrity board are going to be on the behavioral committee.
And that's an interesting position to have.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I was like shocked in a way, but essentially what had happened was like the university was hiring a new professor and they wanted people to go to these professor talks. And it's an English professor and I'm a creative writing major. So I wanted to go out and I wanted to like kind of see, but I had seen like 2 or 3. So I was just like, okay, I'll just go on my way to see the last 2. and my English department loved it. So they ended up,
Mm,
unanimously
I am so
hiring
not
me.
surprised.
Yeah, it's so that was I'm very humbled every day for that. So I get emails every now and then I get to meet with the dean, like with a few select other students to talk about what we could do better for the School of Art, Science, and Business at Chatham. Um, yeah, and then the poetry collection. It's been in the works for a while. As a creative writing major, I write all sorts of things. Poetry, I'm in a screenwriting class. I'm,
Mm,
writing short stories, novel ideas are kicking around in my head. And it's just very right now I have a collection of poems, but not necessarily I haven't gone through, added some. I know there probably should be some more of a buffer between the middle ones and the last one. So it's just an editing process. I'm constantly writing, constantly thinking. So, you know, and yeah, we have, I guess you've seen me grow up at this point in the game. So,
yeah.
I am still very flattered that to be here today.
Awesome. Yes, Kassarian. I've watched you grow in so many ways. You were very captivating, when I met you and you and my son connected, Carrington, and you two together are a powerhouse. The way you think, the way you move throughout the world, and your accomplishments and your aspirations, the things that you want to accomplish with your life. And it's just incredible. You and Carrington have been friends now for 17 years. So,
Yeah,
and that's quite a long time, and I'm just excited to see what's going to become of this, friendship going forward, and not just
of
the
course.
friendship, but the gifts that you all have and the collaborations. I'm just excited to see what's going to become of that going forward. But I'm very proud of you, and I'm excited for you to share your experiences and your story and your truths here on the Attractive Thinker Mental Health TV.
Thank
So
you.
when we talk about your power is in being alone, what experience have you had with being alone? And what could you say to young people today about not shunning that, or not having a bad taste in their mouth about being alone, or to look at it in a different way? The attractive thinker, that's all what we're all about, is shifting perceptions. So what can you share with us about that?
So since I guess that you're nobody knows much about me, I have four siblings, right? I have two older, I have two younger, I'm in the middle of five. So I've never really had the opportunity to be alone because there was always somebody like in my house. I was, dealing with my little siblings, or my older siblings were dealing with me, or, whatever, right? So I didn't really know what it was like until I got to college, right? I got to be able to sit with myself and do my thing. And I was so, so thankful because I got to be able to do that. Like I was able to finally like just do me, not worry about anything, not worry about anybody. And one of the things that I really realized in college was that people didn't have that. They
Mm,
were like so not necessarily clingy, but they needed connection. They
mm,
needed to be around people or be with people, which
mm,
is, like that's up to everybody. But what I realized what it wasn't like the need for connection necessarily. It's just the need to not be with themselves,
mm.
which I found disturbing in a way. And and there's a bunch of other things that go along with that. I'm curious if you want to ask any more questions before I go on.
Oh no, go ahead. This is all about you. Yeah, and your experience. I'm interested to share that.
So it's for me, I realize that when that happens, right, when you are not comfortable being by yourself, being alone, you end up reaching out and forming these connections that are not beneficial. And you can even in yourself know they're not beneficial and you'll still want them because it like makes that buffer and you're not alone anymore. Right. And it's very harmful to yourself and to your energy. And even if like whether that be relationship or friendships or whatever, you can know that it's not good for you, and you'll still want it, and you'll still keep it. And you still, and even in doing this, you can form meaningful connections with people. So there are times where like you can form a meaningful connection with somebody, and after you form that meaningful connection with them, they will tell you that these other connections are not good, right? They could be, as the trendy word is, toxic. And but essentially to me, like, it's just harmful to you. It's not real love. And I'm blessed, like you said, me and Carrington have been friends for 17 years, that I know what like real friendship and real love is.
Yeah.
There was like whole times where me and Carrington didn't talk for like a year, like, and we're good, like we hop right back on the bandwagon. So I think, and like those people will tell them, you should probably let go of these relationships, not necessarily the whole way, maybe just step back, because it seems like as somebody who cares about you, this is not the most beneficial thing. And they're so scared to let it go because of that loneliness. And I want to challenge, I want you, the listener, to challenge the idea that when you're alone, you're lonely, because that's not the truth.
I like that. I like that. When you're alone, you're challenging the idea that people feel like when you're alone, you're lonely. And Kasarian, I've experienced this myself. You can be around a whole lot of people and still feel alone. So the alone or the loneliness it's not based upon being around people. It's an inner experience that we have to sit with and deal with and filter through, sift through, and get comfortable with this energy of being alone, this thing that we experience, because we're going to experience it throughout our lives at different stages of our lives. And if we're not comfortable with it, I like what you said. You said when they aren't comfortable with being alone, you make connections that are not beneficial. And that stood out to me because the energy of not being comfortable being alone is the same energy that you're using to attract and bring people into your life. So you're bringing people into your experience with the same energy that you're uncomfortable with, which is being alone.
Yes.
So now you may be attracting people that aren't comfortable with being alone. So now, like you said, you're needy, they're needy, and it's just a toxic brew. It's just a toxic connection, whereas you're not being benefited. There's no fruit from the connection. And you can feel that fruitless feeling. You can feel that void and that emptiness. You can tell, like you said, it's not real. So what is it that you feel as though makes us as human beings not feel comfortable with being alone? What are we afraid of? You mentioned the word scared. What are we afraid of?
I think part of it is, I think there are a couple of things that go along with that. I think we can go all the way back into the past, and I think that it was, we were uncomfortable with maybe our darkest selves, right? With any temptation or any demons we have to deal with in ourselves, and we don't really want to do the work in order to overcome those demons. And that's what it is. It's work. I think part of it is humility, because once you can step outside yourself and look at things that you have done, you could say to yourself, that wasn't the best idea. I made a mistake. And a lot of people, especially men, have this problem. They can't really apologize, which is something that I realized, growing up. And that's something that I strive for. I try to be as, have like the least amount of ego as possible, right? Like I try to, conduct myself. I was telling a friend another time, like in any relationship, whether that be a friendship or romantic relationship, you have to be able to, say things that you mean, and just be as open and honest with people as possible. I think, and I think lastly and most recently, this is very timely, but it's partly social media. So I think what it is social media has this like effect that like we want to be like hanging out with people, like right. I see people all the time, post the parties they're going to. I see people post like videos. I see people like, take pictures with all their friends, and it makes us feel as though we're missing out on something.
Wow, that's huge right there.
And I think, yeah, and I think that like when you really dig into it, and I mean, I have even seen people take pictures with people like they don't really like, right? And I think that's like, and that's really just the appearance of like looking like you're, maybe a popular or social or something. And I think that's another thing that comes with that loneliness. Like once we deal with that, we won't really have that desire. Somebody said like one real friend is worth like a 10 or like 1,000, and I think that I haven't been yet to pinpoint the reason why we seek these connections. But I think for my generation in particular, it's social media, because a lot of people like look like they're having fun instead of actually having fun.
Yeah.
I actually talked to my brother a while ago, and he was like, yeah, people like be at a party and they're just like filming and stuff like that, and they're like not, like you can tell they're really not enjoying themselves. But they are looking like, when the cameras are, they look like they're having fun, and then they're like missing the experience. They're missing the connection, the people who are actually like enjoying themselves. Like the energy isn't right. And I think that's really what I think lends itself for it.
I like what you said. They're missing the experience. There was a conversation I was having the other day with an attractive thinker, and for example, like when I send a text message or an email, and I feel like I'm not able to fully express my intent or what I really want to say, I'll pick up the phone and call, because when we're sending emails and text messages, that's fine. You're communicating, but along with that communication, you're missing the emotion and the intent and the energy that really communicates. That's what really communicates. Energy is everything. You can tell what a person meant by what they said by the tone that they're using, by their facial expressions. Energy is very important in communication. It's not just about words, like sending words. So when you talked about they're missing the experience, if you're connecting with friends, like you said, you even said sometimes they're taking pictures with people they don't even like. So that energy that makes connection is not even there. And then you have people looking at these images and feeling a certain way, like they're missing out on something, not understanding you're not missing out on a real connection. What you're looking at is not a real connection. So it's possible that people can be feeling like they're missing out on something, or feeling a little way about these images that they're seeing on social media, not understanding that it's not real. And that could make you, when you don't know that that's not real, the first thing we do is turn inward. What's wrong with me? Or why can't I have fun like that? Or why can't I do that? Or I would like to, be a part, be a part of the club, the group, the event, but in all of that, I mean, I know you've had these experiences as well, being a college student, being in a room full of people, and nobody's really connecting. Everybody looks like they're having a great time. And, some people may leave depressed, or leave and go back to, whatever they use to manage, or whatever that might be. And these are the things that we want to highlight because it happens to the best of us. You know,
Yeah.
we all, and you also mentioned about being uncomfortable. People, struggle with being alone, or it has negative connotations because they struggle with, they're not comfortable with the dark side, their demons.
Mm,
And I
yeah.
wanted to highlight that because, like you said, with social media, and not just social media, just, period, interacting with people, period, and the images that we present to the world, we all have a dark side. We
Mm,
all have demons that, want that rise, and we have to confront when we're
absolutely.
alone. Because when you're alone, that means you're not hearing anybody else's voices but yours.
Mm,
When you're alone, it's quiet. You don't have all of these distractions, music pumping, and the phones going off, and people pulling you for this and that and the other, and all of these responsibilities, and the busy work, and the multitasking. You don't have any of that, and now it's quiet, and you're like, what do I do with that? And then all of a sudden you hear that voice, or you feel that emotion that you've been suppressing, and that's where the discomfort comes in, that you're not sure what to do with it, you're not sure how to handle it. Some people jump up and go shopping, let me get out of this house. You have to do something instead of sitting with it
yes.
and becoming familiar with it, figuring it out what it is, doing your work, Caesarian. You mentioned that. That's
Yeah.
good. You said some people don't like to do their work. So
Of course.
talk to us about what work are you talking about? What does that mean?
I think you just need to understand yourself. I find it paramount to sitting with yourself, because everybody has messed up things going on in their life. Everybody has difficulties, traumas, demons, and I think part of it is another thing with social media is cancel culture. Like, we can't really understand, and we are caught in this mindset that we have to be perfect all the time, which
Mm,
isn't fair,
hmm.
right? Like, I think that, like, I mean, I grow and I evolve and I work, the me who I was, like, I change from week to week in a way, and let alone from year to year. So especially, since I'm young, like, especially in my youth. But doing the work, it's mainly just finding yourself, finding what you enjoy, right? Like, I think the echo chamber of, like, your friends and social media, like, can get you stuck in a box. I saw somebody post something, and it was like, make sure you do the things that your friends say aren't cool,
Mm,
because, like, you won't really know if you like them or not if you don't try them.
hmm.
um I think it's that it's I do a little bit of meditation, not a whole lot because I my schedule's kind of booked, but a little bit of meditation. I do um I wrote down these affirmations. I haven't been doing them. I need to be more diligent, but I wrote them down, and I also listened to the character, funnily enough. But he like, though it's just stuff that I know that I may be lacking in myself, but you won't ever understand that if you don't sit with yourself and talk to yourself. And like, maybe you're quicker to anger, for example, or maybe you're sometimes, like, when you're tired or when you're sad, you end up taking that out on others. It's all that work, and it's really being so conscious of who you are and what you like, what people are feeling when they're around you.
Yeah.
That, like, that's really where it begins. But what I would even say the starting point is, I mean, like, this works for me, but is to write, whether that's just like gut reactions, to journal about your day, to think about music that really connects with you, like it stirs an emotion in you, or to think about television that has a reaction to, or uh like anything. I think also something is, like, to make your room your space, right? So, as you can see, this is my room. I have my grandfather, who passed recently, or a couple years ago, up on my wall, because I love my grandfather dearly. I make sure that I see him every time I leave the room, you know and every
Mhm.
time I wake up, You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I had posters around, I had, a record player, because this is my space.
Yes.
And even deeper than that, I only let certain people in my room, right?
Yeah.
I don't let just anybody in my space, because this is my space. Like if your energy is off, I don't really want you in my room, because that might mess up the energy of my room. Like it's
Yeah.
like I make sure. So that, yeah, I think that it's a lot of work, and it's very difficult at the outset, but like, and and it's even trendy to say like, oh, I'm gonna go work on myself, instead of like getting a relationship or whatever. But like, people don't actually do it.
Yeah, yeah. Because Sarah, you said something very powerful about allowing people into your space. And you were talking about your room, but even your space, your energy,
Yes,
I think that's very important for young people to understand that energy is a real thing. When I was coming up,
of
they
course.
talked about, actually, they didn't talk about this too much. I didn't hear too much of this in conversations, but then I grew to understand aura and energy. And then
Right.
I grew to understand how people make you feel. You mentioned that a minute ago. You said
Mhm.
understanding who you are and how people make you feel, how people feel when they're around you. That's what you said,
Yes.
and that is very important. I grew to understand what that meant because sometimes it's what, like I said earlier, when there's a lot going on, people are talking and moving and laughing, and a lot going on. You're not paying attention to how you feel around certain people
Hmm.
and then back in the day you would feel it but you didn't know what to do about it. And like you said earlier in your talk, you said even though they know it's not, there's no connection, they do it anyway.
Yeah.
They do it anyway. So in being alone, we have to sit with ourselves and ask ourselves, what is it in me that makes me do it anyway?
Exactly.
Yeah, what is it in me that needs to continue this empty connection,
Mhm.
knowing that it's not fruitful?
Yes.
And that's a good thing. That's a good place to get to because that's where your answers are about you. That's where your growth is. That's where
Mhm.
you evolve and become a healthier, whole person. But like you said, if you're not interested in doing the work, it's possible to walk throughout your entire life making empty connections and not really experiencing the wholeness that we deserve.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so yeah, I like that. Talk to us about that.
Empty Making empty connections is, it's I think the to say that like all connection, like empty connections are necessarily bad is not necessarily right, because like sometimes you might think, like even myself, right? My start off college friends are not people I hang out with anymore. Partly because what I did was I hung out with them because of proximity, right? Like I moved to Pittsburgh from Baltimore. I didn't know a soul. I didn't have anybody who went to my university. Didn't have anybody like who I knew there. Even deeper still, there are very few people, who look like me. So like I was like very out of my element. So it was partly it was great because I got to be a little bit uncomfortable, a lot of bit uncomfortable in some situations, and then I just wasn't, because I learned how to deal with that myself.
Hmm.
I think those empty connections sometimes, like when you can recognize them after the fact, and then you can reflect on why you did it.
Hmm.
Right. For me, it was proximity. For me, it was I didn't know anybody. And those people were fine at the time, but then I could always feel that the love wasn't really there. And that was highlighted because I met a person or a couple people that really did love me. Right. And I think that like once you have those real connections, people who don't judge you or do judge you. Your friends should judge you sometimes. You're not always going to be right. That's another thing that's
Yeah,
difficult for people to understand.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, but like do it in a constructive way, not to be like, haha, got you, but to be like, look, man, that's not really how you probably should handle it. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And once you meet those people, you can kind of juxtapose them with the others.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like once you realize the gap, you can tell like there are like you only want those people around you who will challenge you and who will still also love you. Yeah, so I mean, it's just it's all of that. I think that's the most important thing. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's once you're going to know within yourself. I think once you really understand that, like, and figure out who is the ones that like make you feel a certain way, and again, that lends itself to being in touch with your emotions. Men normally aren't as in touch with their emotions. Sometimes that's because maybe their father wasn't, or because there's this idea of being a manly man. But everybody has emotions.
Yeah.
Like I again, I highly encourage everybody to write, even though if you may or may not be a writer, um, just journal or something, like because it does highlight things within yourself, and it also, I believe, makes you a better communicator. Because like even if you're writing something, you can look at something and be like, oh man, this doesn't really make sense.
Mm-hmm.
But like once you figure out those emotions and you can tell how people make you feel, that's really that's the key. And that's why I think people end up in these meaningless relationships, because sometimes you don't know, and then like because like, or you're even pushing it to the side, and then you look at it in hindsight and you're like, oh, they never really made me feel accepted, and then really made me feel loved or cared about in a way that this other person did. And again, like, and even deeper still, like that person doesn't have to be a romantic person. It could be the person of the opposite gender or sex or whatever, and you guys could be, there's just normally a disparity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know
Kasarian, while you're talking, we're talking about the power in being alone. And you mentioned some things that everything that you just mentioned was about things that you discover in being alone, things you
yes.
discover about yourself. And that's what I want to encourage attractive thinkers to do today is look at being alone differently. Let's give being alone a new name. There's power in being alone. Being
Absolutely.
alone means being with you. And when you begin to see yourself as fantastic and amazing and someone special, you'll spend more time. You'll be more comfortable spending time with yourself, because every time you spend time with yourself, you discover something new about yourself that you didn't know. It's impossible to discover the deep, meaningful, beautiful things about ourselves if we're always on the go, if we're always around other people, if we're always busy, if we always have something to do. There are, when we spend time with ourselves, there are gifts, abilities, skills, beautiful things about ourselves, strengths that we didn't know we had, creativity, ideas. Attractive thinker, when you begin to spend time with yourself, first of all, you have to come to grips with, you have to, I want to say, make amends with being alone. Say, okay, I'm comfortable being alone. And because you have to give voice to it, because other than that, you walk around with this energy of like Kasarian talked about, this uncomfortable energy, or scared or afraid of being alone, or resisting being alone. That energy of resisting is there, even though you may not give voice to it. So give voice to it and say, okay, I'm going to get comfortable being alone. I'm going to get to know myself. I want to know my gifts. I want to know the skills and the strengths that I have. I want to know who I am, like you said, Kasarian. I want to know what I'm capable of. Maybe I'll discover something that people can use, or that I can use, or that will solve a problem that I have. And see, when you think about it that way, you're interested now in spending time alone because you want to know what's there, what's in there for me. What will I discover? What is it that I'll know that I don't know now? Kasarian, I honestly believe there's power in the unknown. There's fantastic
Yes.
and amazing discoveries in the unknown, and few people discover it because they deal with the things that you mentioned earlier. Uncomfortable being alone. Being alone has a negative connotation. Nobody wants to be alone. If you hear somebody say, "Oh, I'm so alone," even in social media, you see somebody that some people posted, "Oh, I feel so alone," and then you look at the comments, you have all of these sad looking emojis and the praying hands, and we're here for you, and you can do it, and
Right.
it has this negative connotation. I've never seen someone post and say, "Oh, I feel so alone," and then you see a comment that says, "Oh, that's fantastic and amazing. I can't wait to see what you
Yeah.
discover."
Yeah. Exactly.
I can't wait to see who you're going to become when you come out of that, or when you connect back with, your social events or whatever. So
Mhm.
giving it a better perspective, a better energy to being alone. Now you're like, when you sit with yourself and you're alone, like you said, Kasarian, you're meditating, you're saying your affirmations, and especially journaling. I advise every attractive thinker to have an attractive thinker notebook and pen handy. I almost have pen and paper in every room of my house, because when inspiration comes, you want to capture that. You don't want to just walk around and say, "Oh, I'll write it down later." I mentioned this a
Yeah.
lot during my client sessions, my coaching session. You don't want to say, because sometimes, when my kids were little, I was in the kitchen cooking or cleaning or whatever, and inspiration would come, maybe a title for a book or the title for a song or something like that. And I'm busy. Everybody needs me for something. I say, I'll write it down later. And then when I get to the room to write it down, I have an idea of what that inspiration meant, but I can't capture it in full impact like it came to me. So words have
Right.
power, and I'm sure you can relate to this, Kasarian, because you're a poet. Now, words
Mhm.
have power, and not just the power, how you position the words is what gives them their impact.
Right.
We can say, for example, one sentence: "I am fantastic and amazing." I could put the emphasis on the I am fantastic and amazing, and you'll get a different experience than when I say, "I am fantastic and amazing."
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
words have power, and where you position them, it's where they make their greatest impact. So meditating is an opportunity to be productive in your alone time. Journaling, just get it. You may not know what to write. Just get a pen and put it to paper and let it flow. Don't try to write it perfect. Don't correct yourself. Just let it flow. Get it all out. Um, Listening to your favorite music is very healing. You never know what's going to come up in you, or you'll discover about yourself. It may be an answer to a problem that you're facing. It's inside of you, but until you, like you said, Sarah, creating that environment, protecting that energy, it's only when you sit with yourself and allow yourself to be free, you never know what solutions rise to the surface, and you have the answers to your own problems. So these are powerful tools that you can use, attractive thinker, because there is power in being alone. Kasarian, share with our audience some final comments, and what do you feel as though they can use going forward?
I would challenge everybody. Firstly, the journaling thing or the pen and paper thing is I truly do believe a must. Just take a pen, some paper. Really don't think about it. Just do what you got to do. Just write. But I would also challenge somebody or any of you attractive thinkers to go to a movie this week if you have the time, or within the next 2 weeks by yourself. Right?
Mhm.
I love going to the movies by myself because I think too much a little bit. If I go to a movie with somebody, especially somebody new who I haven't seen movies with before, I'm like, do they talk during the movie? Do they like to talk after the movie? Like, are they on their phone during the time? Like, or whatever. I highly encourage, there's a movie that you want to see that's coming out, or that's going to come out soon that you want to see, but you don't think any of your friends want to see it.
Yeah.
Just go see it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. That's a great idea. I love it. And then it's an opportunity to discover things about yourself
Indeed.
That is such a great idea, Kasarian. I like that because sometimes when, after hearing this message, the attractive thinkers may not know where to start or what to do, or, and that's a great place to start. Start by doing things alone. If you want to
Yes.
get to know yourself, start by doing things with yourself and not everybody else. Not feeling the need to bring this one with you and bring that one with you. This is all about you discovering who you are and loving you, getting to know you. So that's fantastic and amazing. Kasarian, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your expertise, and your experiences, in this area, and encouraging our attractive thinker audience to, get comfortable with being alone because there's power in it. I want
Yes.
to share with our attractive thinkers to make sure you visit the attractivethinker.guru, our website. There's a free gift there for you. And Kasarian, you might want to, access this gift as well. The attractivethinker.guru, place your contact information in the box on the page, and you're going to receive an email. So check out that email. It's a series of 5 videos. You're going to get 1 video each day that's really going to support you in how something that you can do in that powerful moment of being alone. You can incorporate these things. So if you're not sure where to start or how to, spend time alone, that's a great place to start. And if you feel like you need support, be it in writing your book or starting a business, or even mental health support, sorting out your ideas. You may have all the pieces to the puzzle, but they're not in all the right places. Book a clarity session at clarity.theattractivethinker.guru. My life's work, that's always to make your life better. Remember, it is not what you're going through, it's how you're viewing it. Think attractively, and we'll see you soon.